All right, so yes, we are on day 2 of Benchmark. We are continuing with our Dred Scott story, so make sure you have your benchmark out in front of you, along with a highlighter and something you can write with. Does anybody want to start us off with just kind of a brief summary of what we learned yesterday about Dred Scott?
The first trial.
Miss Triplet?
Talking over Avery.
Oh, I can't hear her, sorry.
The first trial began in June 1847.
Hang on just a second, Avery. I'll have you read first, but what I was looking for was someone to kind of summarize what we read about yesterday.
So the highlight was...
Wait, like read our summary?
You could read your summary if you want, or just from memory, tell us, what did we learn yesterday?
We learned
about why Dred Scott was fighting for his freedom, and about how he spent his life as a slave.
Okay, yeah. Why was he fighting for his freedom? Like, what made him feel like he should be free?
Because he didn't want to be a slave anymore.
Well, yes, that's true, but that didn't really matter back at that time.
He lived in a free state. He had been living in a free state.
Yes, he had lived in free states, right? He had lived in Wisconsin, and he had lived in Illinois, and those were free states. He felt like he should be able to be free because he had lived in these free states until his owner, Emerson, died, and he transferred, right, because slaves were property. So he transferred to Emerson's wife, who then took over and said, no, so sorry, you're not going to be free. Emily, I see your hands up.
That's Jocelyn.
No, Emily had her hand up. I can't hear you, Emily, if you're saying anything. Jocelyn, I see your hand is up.
With how he was saying in the story, I guess, or I don't know what I remember, but I remember something about he liked John Emerson, not his wife, but like John Emerson was kind of like not exactly taking him as a slave because he got him married, and it's kind of rude how when as soon as John Emerson died, the wife was like, no, you can't be free.
Right. And John Emerson did still treat him like a slave. Like, slaves were still allowed to get married, even though they were slaves. So that wasn't something special that he did. He did still have to work and, do things for John Emerson. But yeah. Zach, did you want to add something?
No.
Okay. Avery, you ready to read?
Wait, I have another statement.
Okay.
So, with the with the slaves thing, a butler is basically a slave, right? But
no, because they're getting paid.
But the jobs that they're doing are very much like the jobs that a slave would be doing.
Butlers are paid.
I don't think a butler's a slave because they choose to be a butler.
But I think what we're saying here is that the jobs that a butler has are also jobs that a slave could have.
And they could have chosen to just call it like a butler or something close to that, but not pay them. But I mean, they're choosing a name that isn't elegant.
Right, but with a butler, there's usually not harassment that comes with it. They're not whipping the butler.
Yeah, slaves weren't always harassed either. Okay.
Yeah, it was one of those really rude people, I guess, that did that.
All right, let's keep going with our story. Avery, you're up.
The first trial began in June 1847 in Missouri State Court. Scott lost in a new trial. The court found Scott and his family, declaring them free because they had lived in a free state and a free
Territory.
territory. Sorry.
Good. No, you're good. So first trial, June 1847. Okay. And that was in Missouri State Court. And the outcome, Scott lost. Okay. But just because you lose one court case doesn't mean it's over and done with. You can do what they call appeal that decision. And when you appeal the decision, you go to the next higher court and the next higher court and the next higher court. And you keep going and going. So then he had a new trial. And that one, they found for Scott and his family. So he lost the first one. He won the second one. And the second one declared him free because they had lived in a free state and a free territory. So his reason worked in his second trial, but that wasn't the end of it. Let's keep going. Somebody new, read me paragraph 12.
Eliza Emerson was not happy with this decision. Some say she didn't want to lose the earnings she made by hiring the Scotts out to others. She appealed the decision, asking that the case be heard again in a higher court, the Supreme Court of Missouri. In 1852, this court overturned the earlier ruling saying Scott and his family were slaves. But I have something to say about this.
Yes.
Notice how in almost all of them, he went to the Missouri state and he they declared him a slave. They kept him a slave. But when he went to a different one that wasn't called the Missouri state, he was free.
It's still in Missouri though.
Oh.
He was still in
I didn't say Missouri. Okay.
So Eliza's not happy, right? Because she's going to lose this property of hers. She's going to lose her slaves. She's not happy. So she appeals the decision. She says, nope, I'm not happy. Let's do it all again. And she wanted the case to be heard at a higher court. So again, the next level up of a court. And this court overturned the earlier ruling. So they said, yep, they were wrong. Scott and his family are still slaves. They're not free. So he went from still being a slave to being free to being a slave again. Okay, let's see what happens in paragraph 13.
Scott didn't give up. He continued his fight in the United States Circuit Court. However, in 1854, that court also ruled that Scott and his family were still slaves. Earlier, slave states like Missouri had sometimes freed enslaved people who had lived in a free state for a long time. This is why Scott thought he had a chance, but opinions against freeing enslaved people had hardened in the meantime.
Good. So really the main part here is, again, he's trying again. He went to a higher court, another circuit court, and in 1854, that court ruled that Scott and his family were still slaves. Still slaves, okay? So let's go ahead and summarize these real quick. I do see there's a couple hands up, but let's write our summary and then I'll answer those questions. So remember how we used our abbreviation yesterday for Dred Scott? So I'm going to keep doing that to shorten down my writing a little bit. But Dred Scott, he began fighting for his freedom in 1847. With his first case in Missouri. In the Missouri State Court. And he didn't give up. He continued up to the U.S. Supreme Court in 1854. What text structure is this story written in? Remember we did text structures back in those first weeks of school, compare and contrast, cause and effect, sequence, problem solution.
Sequence.
This is a sequence article, you're right. 1847, 1852, 1854. You see all those dates in there that keep it in chronological or time order? Yep, this is a sequence one. All right, Ashlyn, see your hands up. Do you have a question?
No, it's to read.
Okay. Avery, question?
So, I have two things, one to add and then one to ask. I think this is like a lesson for all of us, like don't give up, because like if you don't give up, then you can accomplish good things.
I like
and
it.
great things.
Yep.
And then my question was, were a lot of like rich people, did a lot of them have slaves, or was it like a lot more of like
It was more the wealthy people that had the slaves, yes.
Because they auctioned slaves, and usually only rich people could afford the auction.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Because with auctions, you're bidding the highest and the highest, and nobody wants to. Either they run out of time in the bid,
Yep.
or someone like bids such a high number, no one else is willing to pay for it.
Yep. And I wrote my summary here a little early. I wanted to get one more paragraph before I wrote it, but that's okay. We'll get to that in just a minute. Morgan, I see your hand is
What?
Did you have a question, Morgan? I see your hand is up.
Oh, can I read paragraph 15?
Okay. Hang on, guys. I need you to hang on to raising up your hands unless you have a question. Jaslyn, question?
Yes. With the thing about the wealthy and like the auction and bidding, once I was watching a Indian movie, well, it was a Hindi movie, and he was mad with this girl because she married somebody else, and the girl's house with the guy she married was getting like sold, and he auctioned off like 20,000 rupees, which is a lot, on purpose, just to
All right.
like.
All right, let's keep going. Thank you for sharing, Jaslyn. I want to get paragraph 14 in there. Ashlyn, can you read that one to us?
Yeah, I'm gonna get my thing off my mute so that I don't mute myself.
Okay.
Still, Scott fought on. In December 18th, 1854, he took his case to the highest court in the land, the United States Supreme Court. The trial began in February 1856. 10 long years had passed since Scott had started the legal fight for freedom. By this time, people all over the nation were following the case with tensions high. Both
Southerners
Southerns and Northerns had a big stake in the results.
Good, awesome. So here we are, 1854. Really, this is his last chance. Once you get to the Supreme Court, there is no higher court. So whatever that ruling is in the Supreme Court, that is your final answer. So he fought and fought and fought, and I'm going to fight and fight and fight this kitty until he got to the Supreme Court to get that final decision. And tensions were high. Like at this point, everybody knew what was going on because this was going to be a huge decision for slaves and to determine what was going to happen in our country with slavery. We forgot to look at our pictures over here on this side. This is the old courthouse in St. Louis. St. Louis is in Missouri, where Dred Scott fought for his freedom. And it says, times now are not as they were when the previous decision on this subject were made. That's from the Missouri State Supreme Court in 1852, saying that they were returning Dred Scott to slavery because the ideas of slavery had changed. So, at one point he was freed, and they said, no, we've changed since then. You're back to being a slave.
I have something
And
else to
here we
say
have
about
this picture, and this one says that the Dred Scott decision provoked battles. And this, it's a hand-colored woodcut, and it shows a fight that happened in Fort Scott, Kansas, over the decisions that were made. Okay. Avery.
I have something to say.
Avery, I saw your hand was up.
So, why did they call it slavery and not like something else?
Okay. Oh, why do they call it slavery? It's just what they called it.
Is that was like I'm wondering if like it's the first thing that popped into their head.
Possibly. Yep. I mean, you could say that about a lot of words. Why do they say that blue is blue? Right?
That's no. Okay.
Jaslyn, I see your hand is up.
Something that wasn't right to me is that they said he was free. And then, like, that was like 5 years after.
Yep. But that's kind of part of our justice system, is that one ruling can be overturned one way or the other. That's why we have all these levels of courts until you get up to that Supreme Court level.
Yeah, but like when she said she was not happy with the decision, so then she took the case, but it was only like 5 years later.
Yeah.
What's the point of that? Was she like waiting for it not to work?
I don't know what he was waiting for. Yeah. All right, let's let Morgan go ahead and read us paragraph 15.
On March 6, 1857, the 9 justices of the Supreme Court filed into the courtroom and took their seats. Chief Justice Roger Taney began to read his majority opinion. It took him more than 2 hours to read the decision. He wrote that Black people have no rights which any white man was bound to respect. He said that because of Scott's race, he was not a citizen and had no right to sue under the Constitution.
Oh, yikes. That doesn't sound very positive for Scott. So, March 6, 1857, and he is saying that Black people have no rights which any white man was bound to respect. So, white men don't have to pay attention to any rights of Black people. And because of Scott's race, he's not a citizen, and he shouldn't even be here. He has no right to even sue under the Constitution because he's not white, because he's Black. Okay. Couple things to talk about historically here. Supreme Court. Oh my goodness. This kitten is driving me crazy. Supreme Court still has 9 justices today. There are 9 people. A lot of times when you see court on TV, there's only 1 judge. But for the Supreme Court, there are 9 judges. So it's not just one person making that final decision. And the judges are appointed by the president. And they don't have term limits. They can stay in that position as long as they want. So really, when they retire and when the president gets to pick the new judges, that there could be a good swing in the different laws that are being created at that time and passed. Something else I wanted to ask you guys, why do you think there's 9 as opposed to 8? Like, why is it an odd number and not an even number?
So that they rule, like, it won't be a tie. It'll have to be like one side.
Yep, there can't be a tie, right? There's an odd number, so there's never going to be a tie. You either are one way or the other. Okay, awesome. All right, I see a couple hands up, but I want to keep going here. So let me go ahead and have somebody new read me paragraph 16.
There was more. Taney also said that the federal government had no right to interfere with the free movement of property throughout the territories. Property referred to the enslaved people. This decision canceled out the Missouri Compromise of 1820, which for nearly 40 years had limited the territories where slavery could be practiced.
Yeah, awesome. So federal government, he's saying, nope, federal government has no right to interfere with the free movement of property throughout the territories. And property is the slaves. So these other governments shouldn't even be doing anything about this. They shouldn't be listening to this case because they have no right to deal with property. And again, property are the slaves, okay? So again, he's still saying, nope, we shouldn't even be looking at this. We shouldn't be dealing with this at all. We've got nothing to do with this, okay? Let's get one more paragraph in and then we'll write a summary. Can I have someone new read me paragraph 17?
Southerners.
Oh, you can yell. You can yell.
Oh,
No, you can go. I already went. I was just
Lord.
waiting if
Okay.
nobody wanted it.
Southerners were happy with the Supreme Court's decision, as it favored them and their pro-slavery position. However, the Northerners were outraged. Newspapers around the country declared their views for and against the court's ruling. Many Northerners believed that the court's decision was a step towards making slavery legal throughout the United States. Anti-slavery feeling increased dramatically. The country took a step closer to civil war.
Yeah. So of course the Southerners are happy because they're the ones that have slaves, that want to have slaves, right? Northerners, not so much. They were outraged. They thought, how can this be happening? And when you've got those two sides disagreeing that much, we're getting closer to war, closer to civil war. So let me put my cap on my highlighter here and let's take a look at, so we're looking at like paragraphs 15 through 17 are kind of what we're going to get our main idea statement from here. So we'll go back to 1857. In 1857, the Supreme Court, they ruled against Dred Scott. I put my DS again, ruled against Dred Scott. And they said that property, could never imagine a person being property, but that property could be freely moved in any territory which angered those who are against slavery. And it moved us closer to civil war. Moved the country closer to civil war. And a civil war, it's called a civil war because it's a war within a country. It's not two countries fighting against each other. It's a war within its own people. You probably know that from the Marvel movies, right? So let's take a look at what the newspapers said. I'll read these two statements while you guys finish getting that copied down. So the North said that he, Chief Justice Roger Taney, has delivered one of the most atrocious law opinions that has ever disgraced the history of the courts of civilized nations. That doesn't sound very happy. And that was in the Illinois State Journal. Judge Taney requests that American people to believe that the framers of the Constitution did not know their own minds. So he's saying, the people who wrote the Constitution didn't know what they were talking about is what what they say Taney is saying by overturning this ruling. And the decision just made in the Dred Scott case by the Supreme Court of the United States is probably the most important that ever came from the highest tribunal of our country. Tribunal being the court system. So they're saying that they probably just made the most important decision they have ever made. And then the South, how does the South feel? The South said slavery is guaranteed. That means that you get to have slaves no matter what. It is guaranteed. in repudiation of the diabolical doctrines of fanatics by a tribunal of jurists as learned, impartial, and unprejudiced as perhaps the world has ever seen. So again, they're saying that, this court system has made a good decision, basically, is what they're going for there. Someone's putting something up really close to their camera. Can you stop, please? Thank you. And then we regard the decision of the judges of the Supreme Court in this case with the highest satisfaction. It means with our hearty, cordial, unqualified approval. Meets with our hearty, cordial, unqualified approval. So again, they like it. They approve. They think that he made a good decision. All right, I see 4 hands up. We got to go through these 4 comments quickly so we can keep going, guys. So Jaslyn, you're up first.
With that, if they, did Dred Scott kill himself because he didn't get his case right?
We're going to get to what happened to him in just a minute.
Because it says that he died in
We're
1858.
not there yet. You're reading ahead. You got to wait.
No, I didn't. On the first page, it says that Dred Scott was he was born in the 1800s and then he died in 1858.
Okay, so just hang tight because we're going to read more about that on our next page.
Okay.
We're almost there. Morgan.
Oh, on the last page, I was going to say what Jaslyn said, but I forgot to lower my hand.
Okay, Avery.
So is the civil? I can't say it. Civil. I can't say it.
Civil War.
Civil War. What is that some kind of war?
Yeah, it's a war, but it's a war within a country. It's not between 2 opposite countries.
So it's literally like if I fought with someone on the other
If you
side.
fought with Jason, you'd be having a civil war within your household.
Okay, I'm gonna fight with him now.
Well, let's not have a civil war in your house. Your mom wouldn't. All
I
right.
have one every single day.
Amaya, did you have a question?
Yes. What does I think you said atrocious?
What does what?
Atrocious mean?
Atrocious? It's like horrible, like actually absolutely absurd.
Oh, okay.
It's like it's
I thought atrocious meant it was something big. Like atrocious meant big.
No.
No? Oh, okay.
Amaya, do you want to read our next paragraph?
Sure.
All right, Amaya, give us paragraph 18. Oh, I lost you, Amaya. Did you just mute yourself?
Yes, I did.
Okay, paragraph 18.
What happened to the Scots after they lost their case? The Blow family descendants. Is that what that says?
Descendants, yeah.
Okay. Of Dred Scott's original owner, Peter Blow. Is that what that said?
Peter Blow, yep. Purchased
the Scots and then set them free, a free man at last. Dred Scott took a job as a porter at a hotel in St. Louis. He also delivered laundry that Harriet took in.
Good. So the Blow family, if you remember back here on page, I think it was page 16 when we were reading, no, way back even further than that, page 14, Yes, he was born to his enslaved parents, and his parents were owned by Peter Blow. So he was originally owned by Peter Blow. So now here we are. He's done all this fighting. He's lost, but the Blow family, descendants of his original owner, Peter Blow. So it wasn't Peter Blow. Peter is no longer around, but his children, that's what I mean by descendants, like the children of Peter Blow, they purchased Scott and they set him free. So he didn't win his court case. He lost that. But this other family ended up buying him, right? Because he's a slave, he's property. They bought him and then they set him free. Pretty nice thing for them to do. Okay.
Yeah, such a nice family.
Free, he became a porter in a hotel. So a porter is somebody who like opens the door for you when you come in. They help you with your luggage. They'll take your luggage to your room. That's what a porter does. And then he delivered laundry that Harriet took in. So Harriet would wash people's clothes. Harriet would wash people's clothes, and then Scott would take them and deliver them back to its original owners. Okay.
Harriet was his wife, right?
Harriet is his wife. Yes. I've got 2 paragraphs, which means I need 2 more new readers. So
I'll read.
who's gonna read paragraph? Spencer, you said you?
Yes.
You got paragraph 19.
Sadly, Scott did not have very long to enjoy his freedom. He became ill and died on September 17th, 1858, about a year after gaining his freedom.
All right. So, yeah, he just became sick. I bet you could look it up on Wikipedia or something, and I'm sure somebody is probably doing that as I'm saying this. But you could probably look it up and see what he actually died from. But he became sick. And again, this is a long time ago. Medication's not as good as it is now, not as advanced. And so about a year after the Blow family freed him, he died. Okay. Someone new for paragraph 20.
Yet the Dred Scott case had considerable
Ramifications
or consequences. Abraham Lincoln used the case to help him win the presidential election in 1860 that led to the South's secession
yeah.
from the Union, followed by Civil War beginning in 1861. In 1862, Lincoln issued that
Emancipation Proclamation.
Which freed the enslaved people in the places that were rebelling from the U.S. Dred Scott's fight for freedom helped pave the way to that historical moment.
Awesome. Thank you, Jackson. I appreciate it. All
I
right.
figured out.
Yes. So Abraham Lincoln, right? Now we get to Abraham Lincoln, our fabulous president. He used Dred Scott's case to help him win the presidential election in 1860. So he used it as a platform. He talked a lot about it during his campaign. And him becoming president led to the South's secession from the Union. That means the South is like, nope, sorry, no longer want to be a part of the United States of America. We're going to secede. And secede kind of means they dropped out. They like, nope, not part of the United States anymore. They were done. They removed themselves from being part of the United States of America. When they did that, that's when the Civil War began in 1861. So now we've got the North fighting the South. They're like, you're going to drop out? All right. Nope, not okay. We're going to fight. We're going to have this war. So we ended up in our Civil War in 1861. Still, Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. He freed the enslaved people. Okay. And Dred Scott's fight for freedom helped pave the way to those slaves being freed. Even though, again, he only got to enjoy his freedom for a year. Kind of sad. All right, let's break down our main idea for these last 3 paragraphs here. So, Dred Scott died a free man.
At least he died a free man and not like a slaved man.
Right? Before the election of Lincoln. Before the Civil War. Or even before the end of slavery. So he missed a lot of things that he helped create.
Which is sad because, you know, like you would want to see the stuff that you helped create.
Yep. All of which were connected to the Dred Scott decision.
Found out what he died from.
Of course you did, Spencer. What did he die from?
Tuberculosis.
What's that?
Spencer, your voice changed.
It's a sickness.
It's a lung disease, but can also affect other parts of the body. Most infections show no symptoms, in which case it is known as a latent
Tuberculosis.
Tuberculosis, yep.
You can die from like a bunch of different.
Fun side fact. Teachers have to get tested for tuberculosis like every 4 or 5 years, something like that, because it's something that can be highly contagious. Yeah. And so we go and get our TB test, and when they do it, they have a syringe, a needle, and it's got like a little bit of liquid in it, and they just inject that liquid just under your skin, and it's like a little bubble because it's, you know, the liquid right there, and then you have to go back in a couple days and they look and see at how it looks, if you have any infection or anything. But yep, there's my little fun fact about tuberculosis. So let's look at our picture of Abraham Lincoln at the bottom here. Notice how I said that really fast so I could get it.
But it's rare, and there's only like 200,000 cases.
Abraham Lincoln is pictured in the foreground in the front of this text feature here. In the background is a painting of the Battle of Fredericksburg, which was the main battle of the Civil War. So Lincoln in front of the Civil War there. Corey, I see your hand is up. What's up, buddy?
Can I share a fun fact?
Please do.
You know the Black Panther actor died from like butt cancer, I think.
From colon.
3 days ago.
Oh yeah, he died.
Oh, whoa, everybody mute. Corey was the one who was talking. Corey, did you have more to add to his colon cancer?
Yeah, it's been added to like some games, like the location, I think.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Let's stick to this. I see 3 more hands up. Can you please, if what you're sharing is about this, you can share it, but otherwise let's hang on to it till later. So Jaslyn, I saw your hand dropped. Avery.
I have a question.
Okay, is it about this?
Yeah, well, it's about the picture, but it's yeah. Was it 2 photos taken, or was it actually like Abraham Lincoln standing in front of it?
No, they're 2 separate things that were put together.
Because it looks like it, because one's black and white and then one has color.
Yep, 2 totally separate things.
Yeah.
All right, Jaslyn, I see your hand is up.
Did like during the Civil War, did
Gibberish.
they try to shoot Abraham Lincoln?
I don't believe so. I don't know that he was really all that close to any of the battles that took place. Amaya, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, I forgot my question.
Okay. Corey, I see your hand is up.
From before.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at what you're going to be doing now on your slides. Let me bring my slides up here. They are right there. Come on. So we have a couple questions to answer, just like before. You're on day 2, so make sure you're answering the slides for day 2. If you didn't finish day 1, now's a good time to go back and do it. What are the key details for the Dred Scott decision? So key details from pages 16 through 19. So those are the ones we read today. On page 17, how did the Dred Scott decision affect the legal rights of all African Americans? And then page 19, how did the Dred Scott decision push the nation towards civil war? So how did what happened lead us to civil war? And then you have your at least 5 sentences where you're writing a summary of the entire passage, both sections, yesterday and today. Okay, Ashlyn, I see your hand is up.
For the first section of it on slide 5, I think, yeah, slide 5. We have to say the key details for pages 16 through 19. Do we have to do like all of the details?
Nope, just some of them, just what's most important through those pages.
Okay.
Okay, Corey, I see your hand is up.
Can we copy and paste like the first summary to this one and then just write more?
No, because you might have details from your first one that aren't as important anymore.
Okay.
Okay.